And I think there's a snobbishness with reading books. They are a bit outdated. They're a little bit like playing the spoons and tap dancing and the theatre. They were good once, but things have moved on.
The head's not quite on the right place. That's his little issue that he's got to work on for the moment.
My apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Look, I'm all for innovation, and I advocated putting a scrum half in the line out. It sounds great, but it's bollocks idea, really.
Hello and welcome to Under the Sticks, a podcast brought to you by Pro 14 Rugby, where we'll attempt to deliver half-baked opinions served up as real rugby analysis. My name's Andy McGeady. We're going out live on the Pro 14 social channels, live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Joining me today, I have Mr. Sean Hawley. As always, how are you?
Excited. Special guest, new person to talk to, extremely qualified. Can't give too much away, but he's in shot now. But really looking forward to it. Why? Well, we had another brilliant round of Rainbow Cup games, North and South. Average over 7 tries a game. It's gone down to the wire in both Northern and Southern Hemisphere. And the line throws around the corner. Got a new guest. I'm so excited that I'm
eating live on air.
I'm eating, playing golf, getting a tan. It's just amazing.
Paul Williams, how are you?
I am very well and excited that we've now got a proper South African wing, figuratively and literally, on the show. It's fantastic.
This is good. So to go behind the scenes a little bit, right? Before we actually went on air, we did bring our guest into the room a little bit by saying that my butchery of South African names over the last couple of weeks has caused a bit of controversy. So in that vein, I'm going to try with all the love in my heart to get this right. Okay.
Another diplomatic incident coming up.
Welcome to Under the Sticks, Obani Bobo.
Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Good. That is amazing. My mom would be so proud of you. I think lots of South Africans are proud of you. That was amazing. Well done.
Do it again.
No.
Yeah, do it again.
I think he's dried out his tongue already.
No, welcome to the show. It's brilliant to have you along. We've had Adam Redmond, super producer, has been trailing this with us, and we've been really excited to have you along. So welcome. All the commenters, we've got lots in already. Gilbert Labashane, yeah, buddy. William Maxwell, evening. Ollie Hughes, how are you? Michael Jenkins, as always, in from Pembrokeshire, West Wales. We'll get to some of your comments and questions later during the show. We'll be skipping through some of the games from last weekend. There were some real crackers, especially offered to us by our new South African friends. It was really good. We're going to spend some time on that. The South African squad for the upcoming British and Irish Lions series was announced. 46-man squad. 8 new caps. So there might be some questions from the comments about some names in there. We'll get to that later on. Some of the summer squads for the other tours are coming out. Very appropriate. We had the Welshman's here to discuss the Welsh squad briefly later on. And we look forward to the final round of the Guinness Pro 14 Rainbow Cup before we get to find out who plays in that final. It's going to be good. And there was an incident in Munster, which we'll doubtless get to during the show, which sounds very serious and a little bit scary. Mr. Bobo, give us the for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, right? You might have only seen, let's say, video of you burying Chris Ashton.
Get him off. It's a hell of a tackle.
Oh, no.
You're working with SuperSport these days. How are you getting on?
Yeah, so since Newcastle, I called it and I came back to South Africa. SuperSport offered me a chance to do broadcasting, and I've been doing that since 2011, so 10 years in it, and it's been good fun. Just staying close to the game, working from schoolboy rugby, we got university rugby in South Africa, all types of competitions, and throughout even the COVID, which has been quite challenging for the country. But besides that, just immerse myself into rugby. We invented, me and my business partner, a shadow ball, which is a half a rugby ball that ricochets against the wall. So we've been proud of bringing that with academies across the country, trying to grow the game and make it much more, I could say, aligned to what South Africa is all about, giving a lot more chances to the kids who don't have those resources. I always think that if you have the skills, you'll enjoy the game. And by pushing that sort of mantra out there, being the skills master, trying to sell the game to the people to a much more enjoyable sort of way of doing it. It's been keeping me busy, and I've become a father. I've got a 3-year-old son, and he's napping upstairs at the moment, but it's been good times. Sleepless nights, and trying to figure out the life after rugby, which sometimes could be hard to navigate.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. Let's all just nobody move. If there's a 3-year-old napping, I've got 2 of 5 upstairs, and both of them have made appearances downstairs looking for stuff already. So nobody move. That's all I'll say. Joe, let's start tearing into the games from the weekend, because there were a lot of results. We set this up last week. So last week we said it wasn't just round 5 that everyone had to be, or round 4 that everyone had to be looking at. We needed to look at the 2 rounds as a whole, because they were all connected. They were all connected, and frankly, a little bit surprising to see Leinster not score for 50 minutes. This is becoming a bit of a habit. I mean, like Paul, when you were looking at that game, Glasgow are playing with a smile at the moment.
It was weird. That game reminded me of the last night out on a holiday in Ibiza. Everyone was tired, a bit punchy. Adam Hastings was just wandering around, starting on whoever was near him. It was fantastic. I loved it. Second row. And I thought he played, it was a really good game. I thought he played really well at full back. I mentioned last week, Gloucester have done well in signing him because he's a genuine dual position player now. And I thought it was fantastic. I like having a 10 at 15, as he showed. You can almost reset and move out wide then, can't you, when you've got kick, pass, run option again outside the second pod. But I really enjoyed the game. Like you say, weird to see Leinster lose. But I quite liked that sort of, the last night in Ibiza. It was good. Everyone's swinging. It's fab.
Yeah.
Let's pause and give Danny Wilson some credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was getting bombs, just after Christmas. He was. And a lot of heat up there, and he's given a lot of youngsters a chance, none more so than the young 10, Thompson. He's unearthed Rory Darge, who again is my new love child. I put him in my team of the week, and another great game. And hey, look, Leinster's bubble hasn't burst. They still play some real good Leinster stuff. It's just, we got to give Glasgow some credit. So it was a real good game. They still got too much to do because everybody's relying on Zebre in the north, aren't they? But or Benetton have it in their own hands. But there's been some good performances from some of the teams at the end of the season. Cardiff Blues, another one. Glasgow, we named Connacht, Benetton. So, it's been good, really, of the Rainbow Cup for everyone.
Michael Jenkins, so sorry for Andrew Porter. Why did they play? Well, we've seen it. There's a good few Lions still playing. Andrew Porter, unfortunately, now is out of the Lions tour with a toe injury, replaced by Kyle Signer, who I think a lot of people. He was one of the people that we were surprised to see left out.
Yeah.
So it's good. He's I don't think it weakens the Lions, and that is no disrespect to Andrew Porter whatsoever. No. They're different players.
I think it does. And in a slight way, in that Andrew Porter can play loose head and tight head. Yeah, that would have been the luxury. He's a cracking bench player. He's almost like an additional, and he's had a real good season. The reason Kyle Sinclair wasn't in the squad is because he didn't have a good season. Everybody's crying about why he wasn't in the squad. Well, hang on now. England finished 5th. Was it 5th?
Yeah.
Or 4th?
Yeah, 4th. I can't remember.
I think it was 5th.
I'm going to go and say it was 7th. It was at least 7th.
It was 7th in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
And so Andrew Porter was the form player. I'm devastated for him.
On me.
But there we are. That's the way it works, isn't it?
It's really rough. So you're right. Glasgow are, I'm going to say, that the leaders in the clubhouse right now, and that's all they can do. That is all they can do. And we'll wait to see what we'll look at the tables and the fixtures for next week's coming up. But they did the job. 15-12 against Leinster. The only thing they missed out on was the bonus point, which could yet prove very handy. Connacht and Ospreys is before we get to the first of our South African games. Connacht and Ospreys. Connacht went out to a big lead in this one. Sean, you were doing the game. Did Ospreys, Ospreys were still very much alive in the table. They could have set up a big last day with Benetton. What happened?
Well, it's really disappointing, really. And Kobani can sympathise with me because I was commentating on one of my favourite games, Connacht versus Ospreys from Galway, in a studio in Llanelli.
Oh, it's Llanelli. I love Llanelli.
But having been to Galway so many times and coaching that game, I was smelling the sea air. I was feeling the wind machine, and so I was looking forward to the game, knowing it could potentially be a cracker, and knowing that Connacht, they won't give up. They were out of it, but there's no way Connacht players are going to lose their last game at home of the season. And that's what it proved to be. However, the Ospreys had the game in their grasp. They scored 3 tries. They had the upper hand with the set piece, dominated the scrum, scored a couple of quite easy pushover tries from Mauls. But then the other end, it was car crash stuff. They were letting easy tries in. And then once Connacht got in the lead, you just knew they couldn't claw it back. So there were 7 tries in the first half, 26-19 at halftime, 0 points second half. Yeah. And I'll tell you something, it got tetchy. The ref lost a bit of control. The Connacht started going really hard at the breakdown, counter-rucking and jackling, and Ospreys couldn't cope with it. They didn't have quite enough firepower off the bench. So it's unfortunate, that they don't set up a showdown with Benetton this week.
Yeah, it's the one that we were building up, and it came back to bite us in the ass. But that's the way that these things roll. But something that was very satisfying, a game that was taking this place at the same time. The Bulls and the Stormers, 31-27, hell of a finish. There's injury implications for the Lions tour. Bobs, how was this for you?
Well, the game, I actually call that game. It was an interesting game because the hardest thing that is going up to Loftus and finding yourself being comfortable with the way that they play. They're a very bullish side. They're very brutal in the way they go about it. You know what is coming. It's just a matter, can you stop it? And if you can't stop it, they're going to keep on relentlessly, just keep on giving it to you. So the Stormers tried the pressure game where they were not trying to kick out the ball. Using their defense as much more of a thing than trying to play against the Bulls. So they did a lot of kicking from Term Swill. I mean, even this try that they scored here was another defensive sort of influence, and it's just a blowout, and then Damian Williams sort of touches it down. But that was a mindset. This is where the Bulls are good at. They're good at converting possession, especially in the 22. And that's what the South African mantra is all about. It's about piggybacking from penalties and getting all the chances that you can get in opposition's 22 and using your forward brute strength. And that way you get the traction. I mean, this is the best obstruction of play in rugby, and we're good at it and we enjoy it, and it does bring results. 3 opportunities in the opposition's 22, and they just rumbled with it. I mean, this is the rampaging Bulls, and Jake White has always liked that philosophy of how the Bulls played, even as a Springbok coach. If you think about his team's profiles, they had lots of Bulls players around them, Victor Matfield, the Bucky Sporters. So for him, going back to this comes right into the side and the psyche of this team. And what they are doing is finding ways to win. And this is a Bulls tough team. I think every single cup that is domestically being competed for in South Africa is all in Pretoria, and that's how good they are at the moment.
That running maul, that's the second
it's unbelievable.
Sort of running maul try we've seen from them in this short Rainbow Cup season. It's mildly terrifying and probably completely illegal, but very effective.
It's like watching Roman military maneuvers, isn't it? What was that thing called? The tortoise or the turtle that the Romans used to do?
It's not a truck
the shields. It's unbelievable.
It's
so
a fire
effective.
engine and trailer, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so hard to stop once they get that momentum, and it's not even a line-out jump. It's just chuck it in and let's all get going. And there's no ways. I think they should find another way to stop mauls. I think we have to sort of give a player a chance to collapse the maul, because it's become too much of a. It's 80% versus 20 chances of you winning that maul or getting something out of it. I mean, sacking it quickly. How are you going to sack someone who's already on the ground?
Yeah,
And that just makes it so difficult.
I think you make a real good point though about the sort of makeup of the Bulls team. I mean, I looked long and hard at the second row pairing of Walt Steenkamp and Ruan Nortje, and the work rate and the sheer size and athleticism of them, Kobani, it was quite astounding. Okay, everybody's talking about Marcel Coates. He's come back and Grobel has a couple of tries. Yeah. But the engine room and the front rowers as well, they've got some serious ball carries, and I know Adam's going to put the stats up in a minute, but they just pummeled the Stormers. And but with them and the Lions the last couple of weeks, I think we've seen a little bit of light in that. If you can spread the ball and get it to some tricky wings, there is some space on the edge, And I thought the Stormers wingers were fantastic. I mean, I know we know all about Edwil van der Merwe, but the other guy, Roscoe Speckman, I looked at him and I thought, geez, there's another one. Wow.
He's class.
Well, he's been one of those players who's been playing the sevens and a bronze medalist already in the Olympics, and he's just one of the exciting runners. He was at the Bulls at the beginning of the Super Rugby before COVID hit, and Jake found him as a surplus, and he didn't think that he could make his squad in terms of how he wanted to play. But he's just been electrifying in the way that he's got such good feet, great rugby brain IQ, where he understands and he fills space. Maybe sometimes he could be tested defensively because he doesn't possess such a huge body shape. But what he does bring on an attack, I think he scored a hat-trick against the Stormers before. I think that's why the Stormers signed him up. So it was like, we'd rather have you running with us than running against us. So it's been earmarked and is part of the Springbok squad. So he is one of those players, very exciting, but maybe coming in at the late stage of his career because he's run about 30 years old. So it'd be interesting to see how he sort of matures into this and what kind of space he will play in that squad. But I mean, if you look at these stats are crazy because the Stormers. I mean, you think about that. The scrambling defense. When you think about the Stormers, think about the influence of what Springboks that they do have. So a Peter Steph Detroit will scramble for dear life. He'll scratch and he'll pull anything. He is one of those players who just never gives an inch and he just keeps on working. And that inspires the youngsters around them because they didn't have much of that. So you got the kids off, then Bonambi and Malherbe who started off the bench. So they will always have the core nucleus of having the strong set piece. But what they've been lacking and trying to find and figure out is how to get their attacking strategy to kick on. It's just been such a struggle for the Stormers because we used to the play of the Stormers being the most electrifying, closer to what the New Zealanders and how they used to play. But once they sort of figure themselves out and who they want to use as a 10 and what kind of plays that they want to push, because they seem to struggle to have continuity. I mean, they didn't carry any ball.
No.
And that's a difference.
It's the tackling stats. It is. Look at that. 248 to 60.
It's the territory as well is huge. I mean, the possession can be overstated as its influence on a game because it matters where you have it. But when it doubles up with territory, then you've got something extreme.
That's Moornstein for you, isn't it? So they have the big ball carries, but then all of a sudden you got Moornstein, who interestingly we'll talk about now because he's back in the Springbok squad, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Could that possibly happen? Well, why not? You know,
as I said before, he's doing well for a man of 46 years old.
Yes. Just minus 10. He's a young man. I mean, and South Africa terms, we've had Johan Ackerman, who played at 38 for the Springboks as a lock, though. But we had Victor Matford at 37. We tend to keep on the good old wine that grows in maturity. And Monstein has been the form 10 in the South African domestic sort of challenges.
Well, the thing is, he's never
calm and control,
and he's never really relied on pace. So it's not like he's ever been a line breaking 10. He's always been a kicking 10. So you can play. It's like Steve Myler at the Ospreys now. They can play longer because that was never their game, was it? They were never step in 10s. You know.
I'm just disappointed Nas Porter didn't make it into the squad, but there you go. Can't have it all.
But one player I did want to mention before we move on was Cornell Hendricks, because I think he's been playing so well. And I know we tend to think of the Bulls as being all pack and a kicking 10 and a couple of flashy wings. But his passing has been fantastic in the centre. He's been brilliant. I've been really impressed. And I know he's not in the Lions squad for other reasons, in the South African squad for other reasons, but I just wanted to say how well he's been playing.
Cornell Hendricks is in class.
He is good player, fair play.
One name we have not mentioned, and it's one who jumped out when Marcel Coetzee was making his debut alongside Dwayne Vermeulen in the same club back row, but Vermeulen had pulled up during this game. He's still in the squad, but what's the latest on that injury-wise?
He had a swollen ankle, so Thomas Pieter-Steph Tutoy fell on his leg, and he done twisted his ankle, just a bit of swelling. I don't think they'll push him. I think he's a vital cog in the Springboks setup, mentality, just the imposing person that he is, and the leadership that he brings. So I think they'll sort of be making sure that he is in the best of nick of time by the time the test matches start. I think Georgia will be a bit too soon. I saw ankle, especially on the 8th man, who doesn't have as much mobility as he used to. So he'll need to really look after himself.
We'll move on. The Saturday games. We'll start straight into the. I do like these. I'm calling them funny kickoff times, because the 6 p.m. on a Friday and then the early one on a Saturday. I'm loving it.
I like the early one on a Saturday too.
It is taking my negotiating skills at home up to a whole new level.
That's what record is for.
Yeah, he's off the Scargill level.
A little bit. Emirates Lions 21, Sharks 33, and yes, it is legitimate negotiating tactics to say that the 5-year-old is still learning his numbers by rugby scores, right? Lions 21, Sharks 33. Sharks put themselves in the position for the big one next week when they play the Bulls. The Sharks are good at rugby, but there's some good stuff. There was some good stuff in this one too. I'm going to go to Paul first on this one. What did you take from this game?
My favourite little bit in there, actually, for what I've written about in my column.
22 minutes. 22 minutes
to mention his column.
Every week. So that's the obvious thing, right? Mapimpi was like from a different planet. Yeah. Right, he looked like he'd never been away, that he's permanently been in South African rugby, and that he's been dominating for the last 12 months rather than being in Japan. I thought he was absolutely tremendous. And when you add him to the back three options we've just mentioned now from the other game, I mean, look at that. There was one option where he could have gone left or right, outside or inside, and in the end just went straight through the solar plexus of the defender.
I just love there's a defender in that shot who knows, even as Mapimpi is running at him, that he's screwed. He has no chance.
But have a look at this. Look at that defense, though. I mean,
I know.
Look at it. It's like a training session.
Yeah, but I thought he was fantastic. And one of my favourite bits in there, which I spotted, was, I think it was in the first half. It was actually the Lion scrum half, Werner, who took a quick tap 10 metres out. And it dawned on me that is the new play, where we've seen a lot of quick taps instead of taking a scrum and almost using the loose flying wedge. If you take a quick tap now in that 10-metre zone by the try line, you technically can't be tackled. So unless you're behind the try line, it's threatening a penalty try. So I thought that was quite interesting, and I think we'll probably see that a little bit more now as the season sort of rolls on with the test rugby.
Did anyone tell the Lions there, though, that it was full contact, not touch rugby?
Their defence has been a little bit patchy.
I think they thought tackle was something you bring fishing.
It's scrag, boys. What we call scrag, innit? You know, when it's not full on.
Yeah,
Holly becoming the new Alan Hansen, says the producer. Terrible defender.
They won't anything but kids.
Yeah.
I think their tackle completion is the lowest of the 4 South Africans. I was looking at it recently. So it's pretty low.
Well, we'll wait and see. Next year we'll see some matchups, I suppose.
I do like watching the Lions.
I'm seeing some good comments coming in. Di Brownie, can't wait to actually see South African sides playing in the league proper. Yes, we are looking forward to that a lot.
Brilliant.
It's going to be Rodri Jenkins. Are you going to talk about the Welsh squad? Yes, we will.
Yes, we will, Rod.
At the back end of the show, along with the South African squad, and then we'll get to the fire pit shortly. Edinburgh, Ulster. Edinburgh 31, Ulster 34. There was a lot going on in this game, Sean. A lot, right?
You know, another.
There was confetti coming from the referee.
Such an unusual game.
Gee, it was a great game, and to see two sides who there was nothing on it for them other than a bit of pride. Ulster hadn't had a win. Edinburgh's form has dipped towards the end of the Guinness Pro 14 and in the Rainbow Cup, so they just went at it, hammer and tongs, strong sides. And I know when Ulster in full throw, they are a pleasure to watch because they do play attack in rugby. They've got some ball carrying forwards. And when your man McCloskey steps up, now admittedly this was against 13 men, right? But look where they are, 5 meters. McCloskey's integral in everything they do. I think Hume has had a great season. Little playing at fullback, that's something new, you know. And this is obviously constructed from deep. They know they're playing against 13. So what they're trying to do is cut the line a couple of times and make sure they got an edge to exploit. So they're patient. They recognize this. Madigan, I always feel that Madigan's a little bit of a flat track bully. So he's perfect in this situation. You know, he's perfect. He's like Graham Hick. You know, he scores runs against easy teams. But there's Hume. Lovely. Good support from 9. And here comes McCloskey. Look at this for a big bruise in 12. You know, let's get Cornell marking him next year. That'll be interesting. But, you know, that's the sort of stuff Ulster can do. But at the end, there was a brilliant try. It was 31-26 for those listeners who didn't see it. 31-26 to Ulster, 78 minutes. Edinburgh scored great try. Ronnie Sow on the wing gets it. It's 31-all. Conversions missed. And then what comes in the last 5 minutes? Captain's challenge. Out it comes. And to be fair, right, it was a decent challenge, right?
This is the one on Lowry.
Michael Lowry had gone off before the captain's challenge with a HIA holding his head. So it came back to that incident, which was in the lead up to the try. And amazingly, there was shoulder contact to the head, but amazingly, Ben White, as the referee, sort of said, yeah, well, I can see he's made contact with the head, but he's in a real good tackle position there. So I think it's just a rugby incident.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the screen going, no.
I texted you straight away.
No, forget the score, forget the game. And we're all enjoying the game, but he's hit his head. He's gone off.
Yep.
It was unusual.
TMO's intervention was I think, one of these classic bits of TMO work where he just goes,
look at it again.
I'm just gonna draw your attention to the fact that there's certainly contact to the head, and then stops talking. And in referee code, that's it was. You can't.
The protocol.
Exactly.
That's right, exactly. And it was there. I know I'm a big fan. He's from my village, right, Ben?
He's a great.
He's a lovely. But I think that was the wrong call there. But
do you remember we were talking the other week about we're all human. Refs are human. They make some decisions early in the game, and then all of a sudden we've got this great game going on. It's a great try. It's 31-all. I'm in the throes of the game. It's just a rugby incident. Playoff.
Yeah. No,
Ben.
Yeah. No. It was odd.
Sorry.
Ian Henderson wasn't happy. Dan
he wasn't happy at all.
Was very unhappy. You could see, it was odd. And look, referees are human, but this was an odd one because it seemed to go mitigation from sort of 60 down to nothing, which seemed odd considering there was clear contact to the head. But Harley Worthy, I think that's where your comment here, but what is the tackler supposed to do? That's where referee Whitehouse is coming from. He's saying, well, the tackler is in a low position. He's bent. He regarded the tackled player as having had a very sudden dip. It would want to have been something spectacular to do this. But anyway, look,
it doesn't matter. We all know it doesn't matter. So even a mild sanction of just a penalty,
that's the thing,
or a yellow. But the bottom line was, it's no try.
I think it would have been. But it was a hell of a kick from Madigan to win the game.
Big time.
He's done that a couple of times this season. It's been good to see.
Walls.
A little bit. Anything else we want to touch on in that game?
No, I've just referred to it as barbecue rugby, where you could almost watch it and cook a barbecue and it wouldn't really matter. You didn't have to focus. But I thought that was a positive. I quite like games like that. A normal test match. A normal test match. A normal test match. If one of my friends speaks to me and it's not about what's happening that second, like, I'll delete their number from the phone. But that match was fine. It was like, oh yeah, whatever. I'll just have a little look and look away. I really liked it. Barbecue rugby's the future.
Okay, I can get on board with this.
Rugby, yeah.
We'll come back
to
talking about that soon. Cardiff Blues 37, Zebre 12. Zebre gearing up for a big contest with Munster this coming week, which is going to be a very big game. But Sean, I can see your face, Sean. Tell the class.
No, like I said it last week. I tell the class that Munster, knowing now, this is perfect for Munster. They know what they have to do. I think that's a different Munster going to Zebre. And Zebre will be loose and they'll be dangerous, but that sort of plays into Munster's hands, I think. I see a little bit of Bulls and Stormers next week in that game because they know what they have to do. And it's always a good position to be in. But Cardiff Blues put them away. Zebre showed some real attacking flair, as we've seen. But Blues have played some good stuff. Why am I starting Dan Fish? Because he's 48. That's why. He had a good game. He had a good game.
Played really well.
And I tell you what, a good game again. It's just Mr. Chips, Josh Turnbull.
Oh, brilliant.
Player of the match again. Got in the Welsh squad. We talk about a bit. The guy is so consistent. He's been a brilliant player for them, and I'm chuffed for him. But the Blues did the job. Blues are one of those teams who've gone all right under the radar a little bit. Looking forward to seeing them next year.
Yeah, and I mean, as well as Cardiff Blues did, and they deserved to win, there was one try in there. I think we've got a little bit of footage from Zebre. It's such a beautiful try. Pop through the middle, and then Maury on the outside. You need razor wire to stop that boy from there. He could have given it, bang, straight through. One of the tries of the weekend. I loved that. And I think it just shows you can't assume that a box kick's going up from the 10-metre line. Because Cardiff Blues had 5 defenders in the 15-metre channel. Can you see them all stacked up there waiting for like a box click and to block some running lines? And then they just went pouring through the middle.
How was the last-ditch defence there, Sean?
Not great.
What do you reckon?
Not great. No. But before that, you look at Willis Halaholo.
Yeah.
He turns. If we go look at Halaholo, he's just let the guy through. You don't do that. You run his running line, you shepherd him. It's poor from Nipper, the last-ditch tackle. Maury's a big guy, but you take his bootlaces and drag his feet into touch. That's
anything. Yeah. You imagine any that Maury's going down, isn't he? By hook or by crook.
Yeah, and Lee will have a bad head, yeah.
Head on the wrong side.
So I think this is where we have to talk about the fire pit incident, because this is a real thing. And
talking about
I was literally barbecuing at the time when I saw this news come through. So Munster today, and this is about 2 hours before we went on, and confirmed that Mike Haley, CJ Stander, Damien Delande and RG Snyman required treatment for superficial burns following a fire pit accident at the weekend. Haley and Stander, burns to their hands, might return to training this week. They don't know yet if they're going to be available for the weekend. Delande and Snyman sustained more substantial burns to legs, hands and face will not take part
what the hell have they
in
done?
Training and will meet a specialist again later in the week.
Because
Funny
fire
enough,
pits are
Warren
close to
Scanlon
the...
asked me where could he get a flamethrower from last week. In fact,
Firebox.
There is CJ Standard is in a Bry equipment company. That is true.
God.
But the first thing that I know, there's people have a bit of a chuckle on this. If anyone has ever taken the hair off their arm because of a flashback from a barbecue, as I have more than once, right? It's sometimes I'd say it's there, but for the grace of God go I. So tell you what, lads, we'll make
How'd you
jokes,
burn your
but I hope
legs, though? How'd you burn your legs with a fire pit? Isn't it all on the ground? I don't want to know, actually.
no.
Just hope they get better.
They seem to be fine. I checked in one of the groups. One of the players said that everything is sorted. So
that's all right then.
There seemed to be no incidents on that. I just think there was maybe way too much brandy and coke.
Yeah. Poor RG Snyman. Someone must have a voodoo doll of that bloke somewhere. They should jab stuff in his face.
It's a very
He's
big
just
doll.
such a talented player.
Stuff happening to him. Oh, Bobo's connected. That's what we want to see. He's in the players app group.
Yeah, that's so we hope they get back early. Both Delande and Snyman are supposed to be still linking up with the South African squad, so we wish them well. We wish them well from the show. Yeah, let's throw up the tables, because this is where we have some interesting stuff for the weekend. Glasgow, as we referred to earlier on, Glasgow Warriors are the leaders in the clubhouse in the northern side of the Guinness Pro 14 Rainbow Cup. They have 19 points from their 5 games. Benetton are tucked in behind, 18 points. So it is in their hands. Munster, 3 wins, 1 loss, 15 points, and they are the only teams who can make the final. Adam's trying to tell me something here. Adam, are you trying to tell me the points difference?
It won't matter.
Munster's gonna win.
There is a chance we get a 3-way tie out of this weekend.
God,
This
is McGeady's forte.
I would absolutely love it. I did love the idea that someone on Twitter got to me and said, "Look, what would happen?" And I said, "Do you know what? Just we pick a composite squad, 5 players each from Glasgow, Benetton, Munster.
Like that.
Coaches draw lots, and we just treat it like a mini Lions. I would be completely on board.
The
for
Cubs.
This. Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
And you split the coaches too. Then you split the coaches too.
Yeah, rotate them around.
Yeah, exactly.
Each takes 30 minutes or so.
So what do you do then? What do you do if you're Toby Booth, the Ospreys coach? You're playing Benetton at home next week. Your last game of the season, it's a home game. You're relatively new to the camp. You don't want to end the season with a loss, really. You're going to save your Lions, so Alan Wynne and Tips aren't going to play.
You've got to go for it, haven't you?
Oh, my God. Are you serious? Of course you have.
You've got to give that full stink.
We'll get to the fixtures in a few minutes. But we have Cardiff and Connacht. They've played all their games. They're 5 games each. Ospreys, Leinster. You're still playing rugby, but not at the pointy end of things. Let's go to the southern table, because this is now very, very interesting. So, Lions are gone. Stormers are gone. The Bulls are on top, 20 points. The Cell Sea Sharks, that I'm getting better at saying, are 16 points. So we have it all. So this is where we're going to go into the fixtures. We're going to straight in here, because the Bulls play the Sharks this coming weekend in Durban. Are you doing the game?
No, I'm not doing that game. I think I'm sitting in studio, so I've been doing analysis in that. But interesting game because both teams seem to struggle when they go away from home. South Sea Sharks have been very successful in Durban, and last week they rested a whole lot of their Springbok, so they played with a very young team. And for me, what the take from what they did last week was Manili Bok at 10. I thought he gave the Sharks a bit of more bite. They looked more. I think they were in tune. They were much more fluent in the way that they wanted to attack. I think he does bring something different, although Cohen Bosch being one of those players who've been nominated and one of the Springboks. He brings a lot of stability in the way that he kicks the game and the way that he controls. But I think the point of difference is what is needed to beat the Bulls.
I would also like if there was a tie in this side of the table as well.
You will learn he likes detail, right? He's into combinations and outcomes.
I'm just imagining it comes to the very end of the game, and somehow we have 4-1 match points, and people are scrambling in the ground going, "What is happening here?
What do we do now?"
Yeah. I love that.
Toss the coin.
Yeah, flip it.
Stormers and Lions. What's to play for in that one realistically?
Well, realistically, I think the Lions are just they need something positive for them. They've got a very young team, and they need to get some results on their side. Just for the supporters, because the supporters in Johannesburg have been suffering ever since those 3 Super Rugby final losses in a row, and now they've been used to success, and they've lost lots of players, and there's a lot of youngsters who are getting a shot, and now it's time for them to really put their names on those jerseys and make them theirs instead of waiting and listening to how good they used to be. I think it's their turn to start turning it up.
And it's a shame because they've had some quite tight losses, particularly early on. There were a few that they were, they've got such a dynamic. I love watching their back row play. It's like 3 extra centers playing. They're fantastic. Yeah, like you said, you just need to get a couple of wins.
Yeah, I think they just need to just man up physically. As a younger player, you always want to be dominated by that physical sort of. I guess the more experienced players are so used to the whole physical contact of situation and recovering and coming and bouncing back. Whilst the youngsters are still trying to figure themselves out how to fight and adjust and get with it. I think the only way you can sort of impose yourself sometimes is through defense, and defense sort of galvanizes the side, and it shows you what type of character of the team that you have. And I mean, Sean mentioned it. I mean, that defense there on the trial for Makazoya Mapimpi, everyone was chasing the sideline instead of stepping up and making sure that they can tackle someone.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point you make there, because before we get to the fixtures in the Northern Hemisphere, I've been doing some reading on the 1997 Lions tour, and it's one of the things that comes up again and again, which is some of the ferocity of the games, particularly in the lead up to the test, not just the test matches themselves, and that incredible the stress that traditional South African rugby would have on what you call man up, the physical battle. One cannot take a step back, and what an eye-opener that was for some of the players that went over.
Well, we call it beautiful brutality, because that's what sort of wins you things. And I mean, you get up, there's so many ways of imposing your will onto the other side, and I think South Africans have always been about being physical. It's a given. It's the non-negotiable in terms of what kind of player you sign for your franchise, who makes it in the top league in South Africa. It's one of those things that players like Cheslin Colby had to fight through because of his size. But then you can see how efficient he is with his technique, because he knows that's what he has to step up on. And then the rest that he has is just a bonus, and it's something that makes him such a great, wonderful player, because now he can match up on the physicality. It's one of those things. I think South Africans they enjoy sort of getting in each other's faces, and may that sort of carry on, because that's how we know how to play rugby, and that's what it balances for us.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We did some talking about the 2003, was it? No, not 2003. Wrong year. What was the Tommy Bowe year? Lions tour. 9. Thank you.
2009. 2009. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good tour.
That was good. They almost broke a lot of people. Yeah.
I know. Like, you're not going to go and play against those smaller sort of franchises like the Pumas and the high felt where they just want to kick your nose in, and then hopefully that. So those games have been scrapped. At least you play against 4 franchises, which is which will be, I guess, this is the modern era and the professional era.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
more
point.
more cameras, I'd say.
More cameras and more. Yeah. More
Let's go to
ambulances.
the fixtures in the northern half of the Rainbow Cup. So Friday, the lovely 6 p.m. kickoff, Zebre against Munster. We've just talked about it. Munster, you know what you have to do. Go, win, score all the points. Zebre, you know what you have to do. Make it very interesting. Barbecue will be pleased for all of us watching.
Yeah, and Bruno hat-trick in that game, and then things liven up nicely.
Be beautiful, wouldn't it? Leinster Dragons. We're spending a minute on this game because for those of us in Ireland who've been without fans at any kind of event, there's going to be 1,200 fans in attendance at this game, with a lottery system deciding among the they're not season ticket holders due to COVID, but the official members. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see how this works out. It's going to be brilliant to see fans back in a ground.
Yeah.
I know we've had them in a couple of other games, but just to get real fan noise in there, I'm very, very happy to see this.
Are you able to pull any strings, McGeady, and get in there? What about Redmond? Have you tapped up Redmond?
We know Redmond will be pretending to work on the sidelines, won't he?
He'll be in there, yeah. He'll have some kind of microphone on it, just be smashing Guinness down.
He'll be the on-field announcer or something like this. Will be
better get cut off
somehow.
In a second.
It's going to be an interesting one actually because Leinster haven't been playing well. I'm a negative credit.
Negative credit.
That's probably fair. We've talked up the Dragons quite a lot. Let's see it, Dragons. We want to see a lot of tries in this game. Could be attractive. I look forward to seeing the name of the teams actually. Saturday the 12th. This is the one which Sean, you were just talking about. What does Toby Booth do? Benetton will know what they have to do at this stage.
That's an important point. Is that Munster play in the even if Munster get a bonus point win, Benetton only need 2 points, depending on how many points Munster rack up against Zebre if they do win. So Benetton could conceivably score 4 tries, lose within 7, and still get to the final.
Of course.
But so there's a lot of permutation. If Munster win by just a 4-point win, just a bog standard win, then Benetton only need to get 1 point, I think.
Bonus point.
So there's all sorts of, but Benetton want to go out and win the game. I think that's the important thing. But from an Ospreys point of view, they're taking the game to the Brewery Field in Bridgend. No supporters, Paul, I believe. So it's going to be a difficult one for them. But I don't think it's a difficult one to get up because they've got a lot of young players. They've got a couple of players who've made the Wales squad that we'll talk about. They've shown a little bit of form. They've got a new coaching team. They've got places to play for. It's all about ending your season. Kobani tell you this: you don't want to end your season on a loss at home. It takes you into the break in a real negative frame of mind, and you're coming back, and so they'll want to finish and have a good end, and then a good end of season, a night out, or a do in the changing room, and then everything's a bit easier in a month's time when you come back to work. So, I just think Benetton got a bit between the teeth. They're difficult to beat at the moment,
Yeah, it's true what you say there, Sean. You always need that good send off to end the season, and there's nothing better because all of a sudden there's those opportunities of starting to think what is the possibilities of how can we not sort of string these performances together, and even for those players who are leaving the region who are not going to be there, just for them as an experience of people around them, and it's just the bond and the culture of that, and growing something. And sometimes these kind of games that sort of builds the dynasties that we start to see. It's an important game.
Sunday 13th, 1:00, very civilized time. So when you are planning that barbecue, you can turn Scarlets and Edinburgh on in the background.
There you go. Perfect barbecue rugby with a glass of rosé. Now you're talking.
Exactly.
Let's call it ambience rugby.
Exactly. Ambient rugby. That's now we're talking.
That is just an extra luxury, isn't it? That's,
ambient rugby. I love that. It's like a whale song just in the background. Just nice.
I'm okay with that.
I love it. See,
we went a long time without any rugby whatsoever. So we're now in the stage where we have ambient rugby. I'm all in. It's great. Let's have Holly's heroes. So
here we
Sean,
go.
who are you going to get abused for picking this week?
Well, probably everyone, but that's standard. That's par for the
Got your
course when you
with Sean on Twitter just in case, because I keep backing you up with all these things.
No, I keep telling Adam, whoever puts the post on goes, who would you change? And all the funny buggers say, Sean Holly, let's change Sean. Well, it's not funny anymore. Anyway.
It's funny. It's not funny.
All the attention was on my Pimpy, and rightly so. But Volmink, I thought was great as well. And then there's some back three players now. I've gone for Van der Merwe on the wing, Edwill for the Stormers. He's had a great campaign. McCloskey, I've already mentioned, because when he's on, Ulster are on. But this is a bit of the same with Bundyaki. He had the bit between his teeth, and he was ruining the Ospreys breakdown single-handedly. We know how much of a wrecking ball he can be. And I just thought, oh, hello. At last, I'm starting to see a bit of Bundy. I've given it to Madigan at 10, purely because it takes a big set of kahunas to do that at the end twice, after all the controversy and the break about the captain's challenge. Caelan Blade, how many more nines do you need in Ireland? This guy, he's like a little terrier. He's almost nasty. He's brilliant. I love him as a scrum half. He's bitey and he's very creative. Another little kick through for Bundyacky's try. Up front, I was really impressed with Grobler, the hooker, not just because he scored 2 tries. Around the field, he offered himself a lot, as did Steenkamp. Nicky Smith was good for the Ospreys, but not good enough. I've given it to Dylan Lewis from the Cardiff Blues at tight end. There wasn't a great amount of competition. It's a little tip of the hat to him because he's come along quite quietly while the Blues have gone quite well in the Rainbow Cup. Marvin Orey, right? I put him in on a losing Stormers side. He made 32 tackles.
Jesus, really?
He made on his own 32 tackles. He must have been making a tackle, getting up, and making another one. Getting up,
This was
unbelievable effort. And he's made the Springbok squad, and he played a little bit for the Ospreys a year or two ago. Cummins is always an unsung hero. Glasgow fans will be on here now. They like him, good, honest player. Had to give it a coach here. He was pretty dynamic. Had to give it to Josh Turnbull, but again, because he was single-handedly the best ball carrier and tackler in the pack. And there's my man, Paul. There's my man, Darge.
Have you told Dan Bigger that Darge is now your new rugby son?
No, Daniel will always be number one. I'm sorry to all the guys I coached, but
no, that Darge, he's been really impressive.
The producer apologizes for a typo on Van der Merwe.
Oh, I was thinking it was a silent M or something then, or a silent D.
No. Any truth in the rumor that he might be going to the Lions?
What's that?
Any truth that Edwill might be?
Admiral. Well, I don't think we're struggling on the outside. I think he might maybe get a shot into the South African A side. The rumors that he's leaving, going to the Lions team. That's the sort of leaving the Stormers, going to the Lions, which is interesting.
We'll see how that goes. Let's look at that South African squad, because that's the one. Now we're seeing a lot of these names together, right? In the same place.
When you see it all written down.
It kind of does.
It's monstrous.
Because when you do that as a list in your head, it's not quite so frightening. But when you see it all written down in front of you,
that's kind of it.
Three.
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of large humans.
Big humans.
That's one thing that comes to mind. And there's an awful lot of debutants as well. Gabani, what's the there's no surprises really here from a South African point of view, are there?
Oh well, I think there was a bit of talk, as you mentioned, Paul. Cornell Hendricks was one of the biggest chats about maybe he should have had a chance and being in the squad. Marcel Couture was a big cry out from the people because everyone thought he just needed that game. That's why he was back in South Africa, and being a 30 caps for the Springbok, so he fits the bill in terms of experience. I know Dwayne Vermeulen was very excited to play with him on that Friday, just before the game, just how excited he was. I mean, he's a huge human being, but then he does have the dynamism to play either 6, 7, or 8. So that was a big chat on that. It was expected, I guess, the teams that you see. Munster, everyone welcomed it because of his form. And the backs, there was a bit of surprise to Yawo Bentley, who's actually got a beautiful story. Um,
Have we lost
born
connection?
off a Ghanaian and a. Oh yeah, we're back. We're back. Are we back?
We're just
I
back.
think we're back.
Go again.
So he lost his he lost his opportunity to play because of the EP Kings and the Elephants sort of falling away and going through liquidation. He gets a shot in the green and gold game for the Springboks. So it was like A team versus the B side, where we just had a little exhibition game. He has a massive game. He gets a trial run with the Sharks, and now he's a full contract, signed professional for the Sharks, and is in the Springbok squad. So good on him. It just shows you how much he sort of persevered and he went through that. And Roscoe Speckman, which is another bolter for everyone, because I think Russie enjoys that, having a similar player in the Chesley Colby mold, who he can sort of like, he can step anyone in the flipping phone booth. That's a kind of space. He doesn't need that much, and is a good finisher. So that's going to be interesting. But one player where I think lies a big future for is Aphelele Fassi, the fullback from the Sharks, because what he possesses is the same skill set as Willie Leroux. He's got the left-booted kicking. At school, he went to my old school. He played at fly half, so he does have that skill set of understanding and play. I really enjoy his rugby. I think he's going to come in. He might surprise a few people in the squad.
We've been enjoying watching him play. Ollie Hughes, only slightly terrifying. Yeah, it is. The good thing is that they haven't been playing international rugby, which is okay. We'll take that.
The worst bit is when you look at the locks, because with everyone you just sort of go, oh God, oh Christ, oh no. Like each one gets worse, and then you finish with Sneeman.
Thing is, you need 6 locks like that as well, don't you?
No, if you had three of those, you'd be laughing, wouldn't you?
It's a mess when it comes to the locks, and I think even Jean-Luc Dupré might be considered as a lock. I think that's where they're sort of seeing his future. Dan Dupré being the man being taunted to play on the 8 and the loose forward, so it's going to be interesting. There's so many selection options for Russie, but knowing Russie and how calculated he is, you'll probably have a better bench than his starting lineup.
It's also good to see Jasper Weiss being included, because he's been fantastic up since he's arrived at Beer with Leicester Tigers. I mean, he's carrying like a lunatic every week.
Yeah, Jesper Visser, I thought when he left at the Cheetahs, he was probably reaching his top form, and people were starting to recognize him. Everyone thought that you might not have a chance to play for the Springboks because he's not a capped player. Leaving for Leicester was a big call for him, which I thought it worked out well, because the scouts who are out there, Felix Jones, being one of the Russie's assistants, has been helping out in terms of monitoring and checking and making sure that the players sort of reach the levels that they expect from them, and they're sort of what has been set out. So Jesper Visser, he's dynamic. He is a great player. I think he'll fit into that mold of someone. I think there was a game where the Cheetahs played against the Bulls, and he really stood up to Dwayne Vermeulen. I think that's when everyone started to recognize that he's a player of the future.
Yeah. Gavani, what do you think of Damien de Allende?
Damien de Allende, he is.
But know what you're doing.
He's one of those players who is so skillful. I mean,
you're being set up here, Gavani, and I'm really interested to hear.
Go for it.
No. You don't understand. Like in South Africa, there's a biggest sort of lack of skill set where a player sort of doesn't understand how to pass either left or right, or even the timing of his pass, depth, and when he comes onto the ball. Damien started off as a winger playing for UCT, one of the Ikes players, and Ikes is all about running rugby. He's probably got the better left and right hand pass. Then when I think it was 2015, just before the World Cup, he was one of the leading offloads in Super Rugby. He does have a skill set. It's just one of those things that I think sometimes players get coached out of who they are, just to fit into systems and how they play. And I don't think it's done him a lot of credit into what he can do. I really enjoy him. I mean, I've seen him as a youngster at the Stormers when I was still playing over there, and I think he does have the skill set.
Yeah,
that's just how you use it.
That's a really interesting answer, given the jip that Williams and Holly have been firing at each other for the last couple of years.
Actually, wasn't the answer Sean was looking for there, was it, Mr. H?
It was an educated answer born of actual knowledge of the player. I mean, that's what we need in this part, folks.
About 12 months ago, Kobani, I said that Damien Halliday would fit in with Munster because he was quite a crash ball centre. And then Sean said he's much more than that. And he was, of course, right, as he is in most things.
I'm just wondering with the balance between... Sorry, you go, Kobani.
Yeah. No, South Africa, I mean, there was memes going around at the World Cup, after the World Cup, someone passing salt, and that's the first time Damien ever passed anything. It's just been one of those things that's been going on, and it does happen to players because he's got such a big physical stature. Everyone thinks that that's the only thing he can do is put his head down and run. But I just enjoy the way when he's using his feet, because he's got such good feet and good feel for the game. I think if we can start putting more layers in terms of attacking of the Springboks and becoming less predictable, I think he will come into his fall.
Yeah, I agree.
See, I was half right there, Sean, I think.
No,
the outcome there.
No.
Yeah, I'm taking that as a half a win.
We need to...
Kobani, you've saved me.
We'll need to have a little... we need to have a quiet word with Secret Agent Felix Jones as well, and just tell him to tone down his good work if he knows what's good for him. All right. Good quote here. Sorry, Harley Worthy, good comment. People used to say the same about Jamie Roberts. That's a good shout.
That's a good
People
point.
used to say the same thing about Ma Nonu.
Chris Farrell.
Until he became the best 12 in the world.
If you're a big physical centre, people kind of forget any pass you ever throw.
Yeah.
I think it won't be long before we'll be having awards for our comment section. Harley Worthy, I'd suggest, is one of the more discerning followers we have.
He is.
You know, to get nominated for award, folks, I'll set up my address and I accept bottles of whiskey. That'll do it. Right?
Whiskey.
I've got enough awards. It's okay.
Jesus. Sean, show us your medals, Holly. That's
Sean,
brutal.
4 times league winner, Holly.
Brutal.
Oh, that's
Wales,
a beaut.
Wales Summer Squad. There's some names here. Paul, you're very happy.
Who's in? 2.
Look at my name. Look at my name.
10 cups, Holly. There it is.
Could be worse. Could be 10 pints.
Could
10
be.
cups, Holly.
Yes. Old Roddy Jenkins have been waiting for this. It's sort of one of those squads when you have so many in the Lions squad and a few injuries, you sort of expect, and yet there's a couple of nice, faces which you maybe hoped would get in there, but they're in. Tom Rogers, for example,
Yes.
on the wing, not played a lot for the Scarlets, but a live wire. They speak very highly of him. Sorry, Kobani. Paul just guzzles whatever sugary mess he can get his hands on, right? While McGeady sips nice whiskey. But yeah, Tom Rogers is one for me. I do like the fact that we're not reliant on a damn bigger. We've got 2 young 10s, Callum Sheedy and Jared Evans, who very similar in their attacking outlook. So that's nice. It's nice to see that we've got a back as a captain. Right, so Jonathan Davis is captaining. Well, no, it does. You know this, Kobani, that there's a slightly different outlook. There is a slightly.
So true.
where I think Owen Lane is in, which is good. I am disappointed from shall I say from an Ospreys point of view, but no, from a couple of young players' point of view, the likes of a Jack Morgan, Scarlets to Ospreys has been fantastic.
Yeah.
There's Rodri. Morgan Morris has been excellent. Kieran Williams is another one. But then, how many apples can you fit in the barrel? They're obviously looking, further down the line at certain positions. And so, those positions obviously full up. But I do like the fact Tom Rogers is in. I like the 10s. 9 is an interesting one for me. Rodri Williams came back. They've gone for an experienced 9 coming back. It probably would have been between him and Rhys Webb. I don't think it's any secret that Wayne Pivac and Rhys Webb aren't the best of friends. So, but, at least we've got the likes of Wainwright, Ross Moriarty, Adam Beard,
Navidi.
The 9s obviously are strong. Jonathan Davis, Lee Halfpenny, I think, has still made it, isn't he? So
yeah, and Josh Turnbull is the big one. I'm happy to see. We sort of mentioned it last week that he might get a call. You need senior players on those big, that's not going to be an easy game against Argentina.
Well, it's a double game.
You can't put out a team full of 22-year-olds against the Pumas. That's not going to work. So I think it's a good blend. I like it.
Yeah, and we'll see how many get called up to the British and Irish Lions, because there's a couple of candidates that will be keeping themselves in.
Josh Navidi would be top of that list.
100%.
Navidi, Adam Beard, Wainwright, possibly Moriarty. He's playing one of the 9s, Hardy or Thomas Williams, Jonathan Davis, Lee Halfpenny. They'd be the guys on the extended list. Yeah, they'd be a load.
They can't all go, Sean. They can't all go.
No, right? They should have gone in the first place. Sorry.
That was the Wales squad. We'll see. There's going to be squads coming out bit by bit over the next while.
Yeah.
Underrated piece of news for anyone who likes rugby kits. The new Fiji kit deal is with Nike.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
They make nice kits, and they have reach. I am very happy with this. Right. Nike, if you want to send me one,
get it in.
I'm very happy with that. We're getting towards the end of the show here. Are there any more interesting comments? Chiefs girl is in. All right,
Chiefs
didn't like
bless her. She's
Bosch
always coming in late.
I think that's a huge mistake.
Cohen
Big
Bosch?
surprise? No. Yeah.
Not really. I think what they have in and 100 Pollard, Alton Yanchis, and Modestine, I think you take the respect of that. The British Irish Lions only come in 12 years. You want to have your tried and tested, and the people that sort of fit in what you want to do. Cohen has been all this time struggling with his defense, and you can't have that in a test level. There's no place to hide, so that is always going to be something that you'll have to prove.
Oh, gone.
Kerwin Bosch has hacked the mainframe.
Premium Scotty.
Literally got tackled.
Calex, I'm very shocked to see Bruno being left out of Italy's training camp. The squad was announced today. To surprise a number of the Sean Holly shares. In fact, Kerwin Bosch didn't agree with your analysis, Commander.
I guess that's why that lightning cam intervention. It's just one of those things, and that's a kind of, you have to play to what the coach is like, right? You have to play to what the coaches is like, and especially in the national team. You could be an amazing rugby player, but you just don't fit into his plans, and that's what it is. And it's unlucky, but hopefully he gets a chance.
Only need to work on his cyber defense. Very good, Adam.
I know exactly. Cohen Bosch got in.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know, as Harley Worthy mentioned there, I put in a column last week. I've mentioned my other column now. This is my Rugby World column. But I put in there about the Lions squad that it's all very short term. It's only about the next 12 weeks for the Lions. After that, it doesn't matter if you retire. And there's an element of that with the South African team as well. And it's almost this isn't looking to the World Cup. This is just looking to beat the Lions. And if Mornay Steyn and those boys and Franz Steyn, if they are right for now, they're right for now. And then you worry about younger players, come next season.
Yeah,
I think we forget as well. I think we forget that, like, we get it every 4 years. Now,
Yeah,
the South African people get it once every 12 years.
Yeah.
Some of these guys have served South African rugby for a long, long time. And they Razi's like that. There will be an element of that,
Yeah.
So, Esther Bears, and he's got RG Snyman in, and played for over a year or maybe longer. And Steyn is one of them, because I look at that and I think, oh, Steyn, he keeps going to Steyn, but there will be an element of that. And it's surprising what a player, the loyalty, what it can bring to, I could imagine, to play in a Lions once in 12 years, be a massive thing for Springboks, wouldn't it, Kabani?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's one of those, when we sort of came back from the isolation in '97, watching the British Irish Lions beating South Africa in South Africa as world champions. I think it was the most humbling thing ever for any South African rugby fan at that time. And from ever since, it's become one of those begrudged stuff where if you see the British Irish Red Lions jersey coming to South Africa, we have to devour. And it's just become one of those things. That's why 2009, that's why it was so brutal, because those are the youngsters who watched their sort of older brothers lose to them in '97 as world champions. And funny enough, every time we're world champions, the British Irish Lions sort of rock up to South Africa. So hopefully it lives up to the billing.
History will repeat itself.
I think it will.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah, it'd be funny to see both from both sides, from the British Irish Lions squad and from the South African squad. There is an element of a short series which you can get a lot of that history. What have you done for me lately? Stuff. It can all be, look, do you know what? That guy is on fire right now. Right now. We're gonna wrap up the show. Not just yet. We're gonna some whiskey coming on Thursday.
Oh, hello.
Right.
Hello.
Sean Halley is currently demonstrating, my beautiful assistant, a Loch Lomond tasting set that is arriving to some of our lucky fans, actually, and ourselves. And we're going to be doing that on Thursday night. It'll be after the various children go to bed. It's going to be good fun. A bit of whiskey chat, bit of rugby chat Thursday evening. Keep an eye on the Under the Sticks Twitter for details.
Holly can get angry when he's tired after 6 whiskies. If something goes wrong Thursday, it'd be World War.
When you're watching the Thursday show back, zip straight to the last 10 minutes. I say
about defensive systems in Super Rugby.
I'm gonna have a couple of pints before, chasers before as well. Just I'm right in the swing of it.
Come in, it's in line flat.
This is going to be great. At one point, we're going to be staring at an empty screen. It's just going to be. We'll be doing this very responsibly. It's going to be good. So listen, thank you very much, Sean Halley. Thank you, Paul Williams. Thank you, Gabani Bobo, on debut here on Under the Sticks. Really good to have your expertise on hand. Thanks to all of you who've tuned in tonight, or if you're listening back afterwards, doing what you do. We hope we have helped you about your day. That was Under the Sticks, a podcast brought to you by Pro 14 Rugby. My name's Andy McGeady. We'll talk to you very soon. They call me cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. Ooh, cheetah, 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 cheetah.